The support of Michael's family here has made quite an impression, and Jan has the details of the arrival of Michael's youngest sibling.
Bob, here on what looked like a press line for a big Hollywood premiere, the Jackson family support for Michael was very strong. Even Janet Jackson, who will soon perform at the Super Bowl, made a rare public appearance.
Before entering the courtroom, Michael had asked, "Where's Janet?" About 5 minutes later, Janet arrived with her brother Randy. Wearing a white trench coat and dark glasses, she also was checked through security and made her way into the courtroom. The nanny to Michael's 3 children arrived with Michael's family, and actor Eddie Griffin, a Jackson family friend, was one of the last famous faces to arrive. Earlier in the day, only E.T. was high above Neverland, where we observed Michael's security detail from the Nation of Islam seemingly practicing his arrival at the courthouse. Our bird's eye view also saw Janet, who had arrived at the ranch by helicopter, making her way to Michael's caravan. Our cameras followed Michael's convoy as it took the ride from the rolling hills of Neverland Valley into Santa Maria. From the air, the spectacle of his arrival is amazing. Just before he stepped out of his black SUV, his Nation of Islam security detail suddenly moved en masse down the street to protect the star as he exited the vehicle. And we have a look at the invitations which were handed out by Michael's bodyguards, asking over 300 of his supporters who traveled on buses from all across Southern California to come to Neverland for a post-arraignment lunch. Joe Jackson was the first in the family to exit the proceedings. He and Eddie Griffin playfully sparred, and then Michael and the rest of the Jackson clan began to exit. The group stopped for over 5 minutes just past the metal detectors. Michael was smiling as he spoke with his mother. Sister Janet was at his side, and the two could be seen talking. At one point, they had their arms around each other. He patted her back, and brother and sister embraced. With the crowd cheering and holding hands with his mom and sister, Michael began making his way toward his awaiting vehicle. He waved, blew kisses, and flashed the peace sign. Michael accepted a hug from his father, and later I tried to get a word with Joe. Did you acknowledge Michael? Did you talk to him at all? From inside the courtroom, Michael was stoic. He sat upright but very straightforward. But he had to have been buoyed when he came outside to the cheers of his hundreds of fans. And Jan Carl was just outside the courthouse doors. Jan?
Bob, just as Michael Jackson emerged from the courthouse, he came to E.T. to deliver a message to his fans. Michael, tell us how you're feeling and tell us what you want to say to your fans.
I love my fans.
And how are you feeling?
And then he proved it. Astounding onlookers, fans, and the media, Michael climbed on top of his Escalade and remained there for almost 2 minutes. He enthusiastically accepted the crowd's support and showed his delight by dancing, waving, bowing, and embracing their outpouring. After Michael finally departed, Jan went one-on-one with lead attorney Mark Garagos.
Mark, just tell us what you thought of the scene outside the courthouse today.
Well, it's obvious he's got fans that love him immensely everywhere, and they come out. I've never seen anything quite like this. I don't know about you.
Mary, the judge was not messing around when he told Michael that he had better be on time for his next court appearance, which is next month on Friday the 13th. Hope Michael's not superstitious.
He better not be, Bob. Now we want a blow-by-blow of what went on inside the courtroom. Let's go back to our special correspondent, Marcia Clark. Marcia, how did Michael's family react to hearing the charges today?
Well, Mary, Michael's family was really very stoic. They were very formally behaved, no visible reaction. Of course, they do know the charges, but everyone was very, very careful, well-behaved, very quiet, very proper in the manner in which they behaved in court. And I was seated just a few feet away from them, most notably from Janet Jackson, gave no expression and no reaction whatsoever to any of the proceedings.
What exactly happened when Michael walked in?
There were fans in the courtroom that started calling out to him, and a lot of excitement. Some were crying in the back of the courtroom. A lot of public sentiment shown even inside the courtroom, where the bailiffs were very, very stern about keeping quiet and sitting down and maintaining decorum. The fans just really couldn't. Michael came in, he greeted his family, touched his mother on the shoulder, said hello to his father, to Jermaine, who was seated next to the mother, and then went and made his way to counsel table, where he greeted his lawyers and sat down.
You were sitting close to Michael, right?
I was seated just a few yards away from Michael, yes.
What was the look on Michael's face when the charges were read?
Really no visible reaction, Mary. Michael was listening quietly to the charges, and the judge just kind of summarized the charges. He didn't read them in detail. He skimmed over them. Michael nodded that he understood them, and the judge asked him, will you now enter your plea? And Michael entered the plea of not guilty very quietly. The only time he really showed any emotion was during the time when the media lawyers were arguing that the search warrant should be unsealed. He looked at them and he smiled and he nodded vigorously, and that was about as excited as we could see Michael get in the courtroom today. Other than that, very quiet and behaved very formally, very appropriately.
Marcia, thank you very much.